Runes are everywhere. You'll find them tattooed on people's arms, carved into jewelry, burned into walking sticks, printed on t-shirts, and laid out on tables during rune readings. But here's something I've noticed. Most people using the runes, and even a lot of people teaching them, don't really stop to address a simple question. What are the runes? Not what do they mean, not how do I read them, but what are they really? Were they an alphabet? Were they magical? Did the Vikings use them to tell the future? Or have we added meanings to them over the last 1,000 years? The answer isn't as simple as most people think. My name's Zach, and I'm the Rune Realist. If you're looking for a grounded, historically informed approach to the Elder Futhark, without the gatekeeping and without pretending we know things that history simply doesn't tell us, you're in the right place. Let's start at the beginning. Here's the first thing that surprises almost everyone. The runes are an alphabet. That's it. Before they became symbols of spirituality, before they became tools for meditation, before people used them for divination, they were letters. The oldest runic alphabet we know today is called the Elder Futhark. It contains 24 runes. Its name comes from the first 6: Fehu, Uruz, Thurisaz, Ansuz, Raido, and Kenaz. Just like our word alphabet comes from alpha and beta, Futhark comes from those first 6 rune names. These weren't abstract symbols. They represented sounds. People carved them into memorial stones, weapons, jewelry, combs, tools, bones, even ordinary household objects. In other words, the runes weren't created for mysticism. They were created so people could write. And I think that's one of the coolest things about them. Because once you understand that, everything else starts making a lot more sense. Now, if the runes were just an alphabet, why do so many people treat them as something sacred? That's where history and mythology begin to overlap. If you've ever read the Havamal, you probably already know the story. Odin hangs himself from Yggdrasil for 9 nights. He sacrifices himself to himself, and in that sacrifice, he gains the knowledge of the runes. It's one of the most powerful stories in Norse mythology. But it's important to recognize what it is. It's mythology, a sacred story, not a history textbook. Meanwhile, archaeology tells us something different. It shows us how real people actually used the runes. And when we put those 2 pictures together, something interesting happens. We see that the runes were clearly a writing system, but we also find hints that they carried symbolic and possibly ritual significance. Exactly how? That's where the evidence gets a little fuzzy. And throughout this channel, you're going to hear me say something that I think is incredibly important. Sometimes, the most honest answer is we don't know. I'd rather admit uncertainty than pretend certainty, because that's how we learn. Okay, so if the runes started as letters, where did all these meanings come from? That's a great question. Part of the answer comes from the names themselves. Unlike our alphabet, where the letter A doesn't really mean anything, every rune has a name, and that name is a real word. Fehu means cattle, Uruz is the oryx, Raido relates to writing or journeys, Kenaz means torch. Those words naturally carried ideas and symbolism. But our biggest historical clue comes from something called the Rune Poems. Today, 3 survive: the Norwegian rune poem, the Icelandic rune poem, and the Anglo-Saxon rune poem. Each one gives us a short verse about every rune. They're full of metaphor, observation, and wisdom. They're not guidebooks for rune reading, but they give us an incredible window into how people understood these symbols centuries ago. As we move through this series, we're going to come back to the rune poems again and again, because if we're going to talk about what a rune might symbolize, I think we should begin with the oldest voices we still have. Fast forward to today, and the runes have taken on a life far beyond their original purpose. Some people study them as historians, some learn them as an ancient writing system. Some people carve them into art, some wear them as reminders, some include them in Norse pagan practice, some use them for meditation, some use them for divination, and none of those approaches automatically makes the others wrong. On this channel, I'm not here to tell you what you have to believe. I'm here to help you understand where different ideas come from, what's historical, what's literary, what's modern. Because once you know that, you can decide what your own practice looks like. Why I care about the runes? People ask me all the time, do you believe the runes are magical? Honestly, I think that's the wrong question. The question that interests me is, what can the runes teach us? Whether you see them as sacred symbols, ancient wisdom, psychological archetypes, or simply a way to slow down and reflect, the runes have an incredible way of making us pay attention to ourselves, to our habits, to our fears, to our strengths, and to the choices we make every day. And I think that's where their real value lies, not in telling us who we are, but in helping us become more intentional about who we're choosing to be. That's exactly why I'm creating this series. Over the next 24 weeks, we're going to explore every single rune in the Elder Futhark. We'll learn its history, its name, what the Rune Poems have to say about it, how modern practitioners understand it, and then we're going to do something I don't see many people doing. We're going to live with it for 1 week. We'll carry it, journal about it, reflect on it, pay attention to where its themes show up in our lives, because I don't just want you to know the runes, I want you to experience them. If you've made it this far, first of all, thank you. I truly believe the runes have something to offer anyone who's willing to approach them with curiosity and an open mind. Whether you're here because of history, spirituality, mythology, or you're just plain curious, I'm glad you're here. Next week, we'll begin exactly where the Elder Futhark begins, with Fehu. And I have a feeling it's going to challenge the way you think about wealth, value, and abundance. So if that sounds like a journey you'd like to take with me, I'd love to have you along. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications so you don't miss a single week, and if this video helped answer a question you've had for a while, let me know down in the comments how you first discovered the runes. I read every comment and I genuinely love to hear your story. Until next time, stay curious and keep living with the runes.